Time is just gone 8:38 a.m. and we continue this morning looking at the National Driving School Association, who are now requesting online license booking systems to be scrapped. Now, we know this whole saga surrounding a license booking systems, whether you are booking for your learners or your driver's license, at the end of the day, it is a big mess. And when you speak to people and the problems that are associated with just getting a booking alone for either your learners or your driver's license, it's becoming problematic. And to the extent that we've seen now protests that have taken place where protesters have prevented the public from entering the Centon licensing department on Friday morning. And we joined on the line this morning to understand what the problem is, what the issues are, by Moss Letsholo, who is the spokesperson for the National Driving Schools Association. Moss, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Morning, how are you, sir?
Very well, thanks. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I could be better.
Well, I can imagine, and obviously we've learned about this protest action that has taken place in Sandton. Now, that is just one area alone, and we know this is a problem right across the entire country. And sometimes we wonder, what is the wisdom? What has been the thinking behind this entire online booking system? Is it a system that can work, number one? And secondly, is it just around to make life difficult for people?
Okay, so, so as Andy Sasa, we're saying that the system is not working. It's really not working. There's quite a number of issues with regards to the system itself. So I will backtrack to when the system was implemented. So this system, when it was implemented, we were never consulted. No, the public was consulted. And remember, the public and the driving schools, those are the end users to the system. So it would have made sense for somebody to involve the end users, throughout the process, even to the point where now somebody says, now we are at the point where we need to test the system. We were never involved in testing the system. So we, that when they're doing the UAT, what in IT language they call it UAT, user acceptance testing, that was not done, and now the system is giving us a hell of problems and so on, throughout Gauteng, so and that being the case, we're saying we don't want the system, we want the system to be scrapped, because it's really making our lives miserable as it is, For example, you will be going into the system and trying to book for your clients. And it wouldn't take you to the next page where you need to punch in the OTP, the one-time PIN, so that you can finalize the transaction. That's one issue. Another issue, you'll be in the system and you'll be trying to book. And you'll just keep on buffering and buffering and buffering until the session times out, and then you kicked out of the session. And then you have to go all over again and then repopulate the information, So, and then by the time you might find that even the slots, there are slots that are published, but even if there are slots that are published, you find that you cannot even access those slots, but the number keeps dropping. For example, you find that, when they publish the dates, the slots, you had about 100 slots, and you're trying to get at least one. You can't even get that one, but the numbers are dropping, and the question is, where are the slots going? And that is the frustration across our membership, and across even the members of the public. This is not just a driving school issue. It is the issue that affects everyone, even your ordinary person on the street that wants to do their licenses and so on and so on. So that's where we are in terms of this thing. And we're saying, we don't want the system, and you can understand. I keep on mentioning that. I think I probably mentioned it 3 times now, ever since I started talking, to say that we don't want the system because it's just making our lives difficult. So another thing is they would also, open dates only once a week, just once a week. You can imagine what will happen to the system. The system is bound to crash, because now you've got so many people going into the system and looking for dates, and so on and so on. And that is, I think, the system is taking an overload. The system is not, coping with it doesn't have enough capacity to cope with the volumes, and then you also get dates dates that or slots that expired because they were not confirmed. So those dates, are you still there?
Yes, I am. I'm listening to you.
So those dates that expired, they get published midnight. So in other words, you need to wake up around about 12 o'clock, be away from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, be on your screen, and then try to get the dates and so on and so on, And then one can ask the question, what happens to our family lives, These people are just not considerate about the community at large. They're just not considerate. This system is just, it's just a mess. And this system is just a pain to our membership and the people on the ground.
In fact, most, from what you're describing, obviously it's appalling. It's actually shocking. And that is a point that I've made, that, easy design just to make life difficult for people. When you're talking about getting up in the middle of the night just to go up and check out on the system, and it does affect your family life. At the end of the day, whatever justification that was used to come up with this online booking system, like, for instance, I think the main justification was about queues at the licensing departments to eliminate or to reduce these queues at the centers. But it does appear as if the system, number one, is not implemented fully. And at the end of the day, there seems to be a lot of flaws. And when we're talking about, a country like ours, where we're talking about thousands on a daily basis wanting their learner's license, those that want their driver's license, those that want their licenses renewed. And all of that at the end of the day is just coming to no avail. And that is the reason why we see this plan of action also starting to take place across the province.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. Look, I mean, you touched on something when you said, when it was implemented, it was also a way of reducing queues at the testing station. But now I want to explain something to you. The system is incomplete on its own. It's just incomplete. Why do I say that? It's incomplete in the sense that you cannot even pay on the system. You still need to go and queue at the traffic department to pay for your online booking. So in other words, you book online, and then this thing stays on your slot stays on the system for 3 days. And within that 3 days, you need to go to the testing station, or the DLTC as they call them. You need to go there to go pay for your appointment. If you don't pay for the appointment, then it'll lapse from the system, and then you lost that appointment, and then it becomes available again for anybody to take. So that being the case, you still have to go and queue anyway. So it is an incomplete system. It doesn't have the payment subsystem in it. You cannot even scan documents into the system and so on. So we're saying, there was no thought put into this system, and it is because it was approached in the wrong way. We were not consulted, as the end users, to say, guys, we know that you are working with, you're working on a daily basis with bookings and all that, and then we want to move to a paperless environment. We want to make your lives easy. How can we help you? What are the challenges that you guys are facing? And what do you think will need improvement, and so on and so on. And then take us throughout the whole process, and even share the project plan with us. We don't even know the project plan. We have never even seen the project plan, and so on and so on. If we were involved right from the beginning, we would be in a better space now, because then it'll be a case of saying, okay, the guys are coming down to us and saying, guys, what are the issues? Do we need to fix bugs and all that? And they get feedback from us to say, yeah, these are the bugs that we're experiencing, and so on and so on. So you can improve on this, improve on that, and that the system is doing this and that and that. So it is a challenge that people going about this project as if it's not a project. A project. When you run a project, you need to identify all your stakeholders, and in this case, we happen to be one of the key stakeholders that was ignored in the whole process, and we're not happy about that, because we are the ones that are going to be suffering with this thing, and in fact, we're the ones that are suffering with this thing. Now they were looking at rolling this thing to other provinces, because it started off in Gauteng. Okay, it started off in Gauteng as a pilot project. Now, if you're saying something's a pilot, it means that thing has a set start and a set completion date. And at the completion date, then you need to then come back as a committee or a project team, sit around the table, including your stakeholders in the meeting, and say, guys, we ran the pilot, and then does it work? Doesn't it work? Or if it works, does it need fixes? and so on and so on. But these people are not going about it as a project. They're just implementing in isolation, outside the other stakeholders that should have been involved and that should be involved in the whole process. We're not happy about the system. So now, yesterday I had an interview with Desiree on SABC, and Desiree asked me a question to say, what's going to happen going forward? And I said to her, it would look like the government wants to roll out this thing to other provinces. Although we were not told when it was going to be rolled out to other provinces. How do you roll out a system that's incomplete to other provinces? How do you roll out a system where you haven't even gathered lessons learned from your first stage of the project? You can't just do that. And I think these people are actually taking us for a ride. They're thinking that we don't know anything about systems. It's just a normal driving school. Somebody's operating with one car there. They don't know any business ethics. They don't know any systems. They don't know any processes and all that. We know these things. And we're saying, come to us. We should be your consultants. You should be consulting with us. So you source information and then end up putting on the table a system that will be efficient, a system that will make our lives easy, and so on and so on. As it is, this system, it's not making our lives easy. Systems are supposed to make lives easy, but this one, it's just putting a spanner in the wheel to make our lives difficult.
Well, Mos, let's see what develops from there. But as always, thank you for your time with us here on Salam Media on News and Views. We wish you all the best, sir.
Thank you kindly.
Give charity without delay, for it stands in the way of calamities. For child-headed households in Bloemfontein